Hello, welcome to IELTS Made Easy. My name is Hasib and I'm an IELTS trainer at one of the premier institutes in Delhi. In today's lecture, I'm going to focus on two important things. First, the changes that have come up in IELTS, and second, some of the tips that you should know about reading task, the second most important task which is evaluated under IELTS. Now, as you all know, that IELTS is an examination which assesses your skills in four key areas of English. That is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. All these four areas or four skills are evaluated on a band score of 0 to 9. And to get into any of the good institutions where English is the first language in which you have to study, you have to get a respectable score which can range between 6.5 to 9. Now, this also goes for immigration. So if somebody is planning for immigration, again, they have to appear for the general training IELTS and get a good score, which can range between 6.5 to 9, depending upon the requirements. Now, this test has brought a major, or you can say this test has integrated a major change in one of the areas. That area, of course, is listening. From the 4th of January onwards, the example that used to be played earlier before we start the test has been removed. Secondly, the section word has been changed with parts. And third, the page number, which they used to mention earlier, has been removed. So these are the three big changes that have come up in listening task. Now, this change is only visible in the paper and pencil test, not in the computer delivered IELTS. Now, the paper setters, obviously the Cambridge Assessment Board, the IDP and the British Council are into this preparation of the test. And of course, there must be reasons why they did it. But I'm not going to talk about those things, but now you've understood that there are three changes that have come up. Now, to understand all these four areas, you should have some basic knowledge about English. Well, it is not necessary that you should have an English background to clear this exam with good grades. But of course, if you are planning to score a good band score between 7 to 9, you must prepare hard before going for this examination. All these skills, listening, reading, writing, and speaking, are basically evaluated on a, calibrated scale of 0 to 9. But every section is independent. There will be 40 questions in listening, 40 in reading, and 2 writing tasks in writing task, and 3 speaking assessments under the speaking test. So basically, speaking is just like an interview. After this evaluation, the whole of the things are calibrated on a band score of 0 to 9, and you get scores on that. So my lectures and my classes are focused on helping students to get good scores within a short period of time. I have classes for 14 days, 10 days, and 20 days in which I try to explain to students how within a short period of time they can get the required band score that they are looking for. Today, I'm just going to focus a little bit. I'll just give you an idea about how exactly we approach the questions. So I'm going to tell you about the second task after listening, that's reading, and how I approach these questions. Well, to understand this, first of all, understand that reading basically involves some parts of questions which are important to understand. So let me just go back and tell you. In reading, we have 3 sections. Now remember, here it is section only. It's only in the first part that they call parts. In reading, they call it sections. So section 1, section 2, section 3. All these 3 sections will have 1 passage each for academic and maybe 4 to 5 passages in general training. But today I'm not focusing on general training. I'm working on academic. General training we'll discuss afterwards. So there will be 3 passages. Size can vary between 800 to 1200 words. So that means you have 1 hour, but in that 1 hour, you have to read plenty of text. So speed reading is very important. That's one thing you have to keep in mind. And secondly, to score good marks, you have to score minimum bands, or you have to score a minimum like number of questions you need to make it correct. So if you're planning to get a 7-band score, then obviously you need to have 30 to 32 correct answers if you are planning for academic. Of course, general training has got more because the passages are easy. We'll be focusing more and more on all these things. But understand, here are certain tips that you need to understand. Now, the tips I'll just show it to you, but before that, understand that IELTS has evaluated or tested students on 11 varieties of questions. The 5 in front of you and the 6 on this page. So you need to practice all of them. You need to understand all of them to get a good score. So we'll be working on all these things very easy, like in the short period of time, and how to evaluate them. I'll give you an idea. But understand that when we talk about reading, you should have like one thing in your mind, and those are like things like in the form of tips. I would tell you that don't read the whole passage. That is one thing you have to keep in your mind. If you are planning to read the whole passage and then answer, you will lose track of time and you will not be able to complete the whole text. So be aware of that. There's a concept which is known as where before what. So that comes by the concept of skimming and scanning, which I'll be focusing more at a later stage. But at this time, understand that you should follow these basic tips to get scores. And if you follow these skills, not to read the whole passage together, skim and scan, keyword identification, you'll be able to do any question that comes up in front of you. Now, the questions can be of different types. As I told you, it can be match the heading. It can be other type of question. Let me just give you one example about what we call as the true-false not given questions. Okay, so in true-false, what happens? You are given a passage, and in that passage, there will be like something hidden inside it, paraphrase and other things. You have to look at the question and answer. Let's take one example in front of you. I'll just give you an idea. Only I'll take just one example today, and rest we'll be focusing when we go for the elaborate classes. Here there are 2 questions. In China, spam text messaging is successful business, and people's phone number are collected through the use of technology, which cannot be readily bought. So you need to understand like what the question wants. The question obviously wants to know whether the question, whatever it says, is obviously accentuated from the text. This is what is being evaluated. So you have to check out whether the answer lies as true if it is there in the passage, or false if it opposes the information in the passage, or not given. That means no information is given or partial information is given. So these are the 3 things that you have to understand before you approach this question. So just take a look at this question, and maybe you can pause yourself and find out the answer, but I'll tell you the answer right away. Now, in the first question, it says in China, text messaging is a successful business. So your idea, obviously, you can answer this question if you have understood the 3 key skills: the keywords identification, skimming and scanning, and paraphrasing. So if you adopt all these things, which I'll be telling you in my next lecture, you should be able to find out that successful business and rolling trade are well connected, and that's why the first answer obviously will be true. Similarly, the second question has people's phone number are collected through the use of technology which cannot be readily bought. So here again, we have to look at the keyword, and then on the basis of the keyword, we'll get the answer. So if you go through the complete reading, you'll not be able to get the answer, but if you analyze it properly and look for the keywords and paraphrase words and synonyms, you'll get the answer. For the second one, of course, it is false. How it comes up, you just check it yourself, and in the coming paragraph, in the coming lectures, I'll be telling you how it goes. So this is all for today, and I just wanted to give you an idea how the things work out, and this is only for the sake of understanding. So I would like to see you all in the class, and happy learning, and bye-bye from my side. Take care.